You can access the entire episode now on our website, forbiddenknowledge.news, Rokfin, Rumble, and all podcast platforms. You tell a normal person that's really not into this that the president of the United States, what we perceive this fellow to be, is actually a dude in a mask, or even sometimes CGI.
Right, exactly.
Sometimes you can't even tell if he's really where he's at. He's got his hand going through physical objects. Yep. His face is melting off sometimes. Yep. It's insanity. Yep. You try to tell a normal person that, and they're checking out. They're like, "Nah, you're nuts." You're nuts.
For those who might be leaning in that direction, we saw the Pope come and address the people at the balcony, and as he turned around, he disappeared. Boom! You can see that on YouTube. And then you could see there's been 4 or 5 different Hillary Clintons. The most glaring example is Jamie Foxx. Recently succumbed to the vax. He went away, and when he came back, his skin was 2 or 3 shades lighter. His head was shaped differently. It's a really bad clone. So they have clones, and there's hundreds of examples of clones. They cloned Dolly the sheep back in the 60s or 70s. Remember that? You don't think if they can clone a sheep that they wouldn't clone a human? Come on. All right, so going back to Trudeau, so he says we're actually making a difference. Now, there's the geopolitical discussion. Then above that, there's the discussion of the planners, the central planners, who control this guy. So that's the Bilderberg and Davos, and these things are planned decades in advance, and then they get rolled out when the time is right. So what he's talking about now has already been anticipated. They're trying to co-opt the Truther movement. Now they're desperate, whatever their motivations are. But that's really what's happening. He's a puppet. He's just being controlled by these groups, which are then controlled by the think tanks, the Bank of International Settlements. Above that is all these think tanks. And then above that is these groups that are really shadowy, like the group of the group of 300, the Pinyard, all these really shadowy groups that are run by the elites, which we know little about. So where do you want to have the conversation? Because what's our goal, right? What is our objective in being a truther? I think the first objective is that we have an instinct for survival. We just don't want them to slow kill us. So we then also have an objective to wake up other people. So if you start too high, if you're talking to a normie and you're talking about, these people that run the world are actually not even human. They're like descendants from the Anunnaki, or they're the Nephilim offspring lines, the bloodlines. Well, you're going to lose, right? So you got to come down a few levels. So you want to wake up people, because the Karens of the world are going to get us killed if we don't stop the normies from complying with all of the tyranny. They are going to get us killed. So what part of our objective in being a truther is to wake up other people. Good luck with that, right? But then we tend to want to get off the pot and engage the enemy, go onto the field of battle, like creating a podcast like you have and I have. I wrote a book, right? The Conspiracy Theorist Survival Guide. Now we have a podcast, the Conspiracy Theorist Survival Guide podcast. Why? Because I'm not put here for fun seasons in the sun. I exist to bring change and, do things. Yeah, love people, have love, have relationships. Really, the only thing that measures your value in this world is how many people show up to your funeral. I get it. But let's be honest. Come on. God works 6 days. So we're not really designed to sit on the beach and drink Mai Tais for our entire life, like Paris Hilton. If you had 500 million, would you really just be a debutante? I wouldn't. I want to be.
No, man. I can't survive
Right.
unless I'm working.
Thank you.
It drives me nuts.
Exactly. So it's glory. That's the paycheck of heaven. The paycheck of the truther is to get glory. Okay, like I get posts from people. I got an email yesterday, and the person told me in their email that as they're writing the email to me, they're weeping because of the live streams that I've done and the things I've done have been their lifeline. Well, that's glory, brother. That's the paycheck of the truther, is to bring change to a dying world. Come on, man. What are you living for? And not only that, another thing is you get a little ticked off when you realize you're being led around by the nose. I mean, if you're a red-blooded human being, you don't take kindly to being slow killed and enslaved. So there's a matter of principle to this thing too. Like, my wife divorced me after 24 years of marriage. My kids barely talk to me now. And what I found after that started happening to me was that's actually common, which is why I wrote the book. Because I found people posting every day to my channel. Yeah, John, my kids don't talk to me. Yeah, I was divorced by my spouse. I couldn't believe how universally the same our experiences with finding out the moon landing is fake, and then you just freaked out. So then you come to 9/11, and it freaks you out even more. And then you find out what's next, the underground bases, and then chemtrails, right? And then the whole political system is fake, and it just keeps going on and on. And I finally did a talk. It's called "Help! I have more than 10 rabbit holes in my portfolio." So the more rabbit holes you're down, the less you could coexist with normies who don't want to know. You're like, you're arranging deck chairs on the Titanic. What's the matter with you? They don't get it.
You know, I think that we are in more control than we believe that we are. I think that everyone, even the most dangerous, disgusting lizard person, psychotic-minded person that you could ever imagine, I believe even that person has the ability to change and see the light and go to the good side of things. I used to think that it was always this top-down pyramid structure of control and power, but I'm not so sure anymore. I think that everybody is playing a role, whether they even realize it or not, and even trickling down to the lowest levels in our own community. We are enabling those at the top. We are allowing them to do things. Why? Because we're consuming their products. We're participating in the agendas that they're putting forward.
Yeah.
So we all have a part to play in where we're at right now. And ultimately, we can control where we're going to go next just by being aware that we messed up and we played a part in our detriment and where we're at right now. But it's never too late to change. And like I said, I think everybody, even what you would consider your NPC, has the capability to come online and see the light and make change. And I think that we're seeing that right now. We're seeing more and more of these people, even the ones that we think are part of the global elite. They may not even be knowingly a part of this. They may be just playing their role. And maybe one day they'll realize that the role they're playing is causing more harm than good for humanity. And it's all possible. And I think that's part of what we're seeing unfolding now. And I think things are just going to continue to get better and better.
Right. Like, I kind of go back and forth on what I think is real. Like, I see the transpocalypse, where if you've ever looked into the transpocalypse, when I realized that most of the people that I see in the media, that's in the newscasters, that's CEOs of companies, military industrial complex people, politicians, governments, heads of state, the majority of them are the opposite. The man is the woman and the woman is man, right? Michael Obama,